Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of UC Weekly News. I'm your host, David Danto. Once again, my home away from home this year is the Convention Center in Las Vegas, the LVCC. I'm in the Grand Corridor between the North Hall and Central Hall, and that's where InfoComm 2026 is taking place, in the Central Hall and in the North Hall to my left here. I'm wearing the new Talking Points t-shirt, and there's a lot of people crossing by, so I'm going to have some interviews. Today's the setup day. The show hasn't opened. It'll open tomorrow on Wednesday. This is Tuesday as I'm recording it, and we'll get to see what the show looks like while it's under construction. Have a couple of private conversations and some product demos with Cisco and with Logitech, and then we'll take you into the show during the course of the next few days, interviewing some of the other people that have interesting products, interesting solutions in the market, and really give you a sense of what it was like to be at the show. So stay with me as always. You'll really enjoy this. Rich, good to see you.
Likewise, David. Good to see you.
How was your travel into Las Vegas?
Actually, much better than last time. Pretty uneventful, but long from Norway.
And you still had room problems, right? Last time you didn't have a room. This time you had a room and somebody was in it already.
Yeah, but that got all sorted out. But yes,
if they could have done demos, you could have just gone home. So we're behind the scenes. This is what the Cisco booth looks like the day before the show opens. It's unbelievable, and this is not just Cisco, this is everybody. It's unbelievable how much work gets done this last day. The difference between Las Vegas and Orlando, and InfoComm moves back and forth, is that in Orlando, the bay doors are open and the humidity is just pervasive. It's actually cooler here now, even though the bay doors are open. They do a really good job of air conditioning.
Oh yeah, it's much cooler here than outside of the moment, yes, for sure.
This week, we're here, the temperature in Fahrenheit is not going under 3 digits.
Oh no, I think it's 100 today. It's crazy.
It's just crazy. But anyway, the booth is being assembled. Tell me about the things that we're going to see if we come in and walk in the booth. What are we going to see?
Yeah, so I think this year, really awesome. Our booth is really built around this meeting space behind us here. So you can come in here and you get a great experience demo of our latest generation Codec Pro G2.
Right.
With our Sling Microphone Pro, our new Room Vision P2 camera, that full cinematic experience. So you're going to be able to come and experience that live on the booth and get that full-fledged, which is something we haven't done at InfoComm before.
Right. We've seen it before at other shows, but it's the first time it's
yes,
InfoComm.
We're bringing a full meeting experience onto the booth. And then around the booth, we have some new announcements and some new features as well. So one thing we announced like 2 weeks ago at Cisco Live, just here in Vegas 2 weeks ago, we announced a new Board Pro G3, which is our latest generation of the all-in-one board series. We have that on the booth and we're showing that off here. That also comes with the latest and greatest NVIDIA and Cisco chipset.
Why is it better than the Board G2?
It has the ability now to extend our AV over IP platform. So bringing this new chipset, we're now able to extend with more microphones, more cameras. We can bring the cinematic experiences to more spaces. The all-in-one allows us for deployment at scale, at speed. So a lot of our customers who deploy this, they deploy it pervasively because they want that simple experience that can scale across hundreds of rooms at the same time. But also now we're able to unlock new workloads. For example, with the Advisor, we can do more AI compute power than before. So we're really future-proofed for the agentic workplace and how we can power those experiences. And you'll hear more about the agentic workplace at our keynote in 2 days from now.
Right, it's Espen who was going to be with us, but his plane was delayed, so you're covering for everybody. So the key messaging there for me is that while the board is better, it's more powerful, latest generation chipset, everything else, it's really now part of this IP connectivity that you didn't really have before, where your microphones, your cameras, your peripherals, everything can now connect on the network. You don't need analog, you don't need baseband, you don't need third parties. You're providing all the gear.
Correct, and I think that's the big change with the all-in-one now, is that we've had this already on the Kit Pro G2. We've had it on the Room Bar Pro. So all these integrator codecs with bars and codecs, you can bring this AV over IP infrastructure. Now you can do it for an all-in-one. So you can deploy a Board Pro G3, but connect multiple Sling Mic Pros, multiple cameras, and you can make that really easy with one cable. You don't need to actually add an additional port to support a switch to extend the ports on that.
All right, so if I'm a Cisco WebEx user, I'm going to buy the Board Pro G3, and I'm going to use WebEx right on the board, and it's going to be great. And if I'm a Microsoft Teams user, and I want to have this set up on Microsoft Teams, I load in the Teams software that you have running on MDEP in the shell, and I'm able to use Microsoft Teams on it in the native experience. But what if I'm a Zoom user and I know last year you announced that I could do Zoom meetings, but when I'm not in Zoom meetings, I'm in your setup, right?
So that's the other announcement we're making at this show. So currently we're about to announce it tomorrow morning as the Zoom Rooms is going to be available on Cisco hardware. Last year we announced the ability to run Zoom meetings natively on our hardware from the Cisco Rooms experience. Now we have the ability for customers to deploy the device in a Zoom's Room application mode. And that really allows to bring that Zoom home screen and all the Zoom features as well. So this device will support that, as well as our current portfolio, the RoomKit Pro G2, the Desk Pro G2, the Room Bar, the Room Bar Pro, etc.
So we're still here on the setup day for InfoComm 2026, and I'm with Vivek Sikar. Vivek from Logitech.
I'm Vivek from Logitech.
How long have you been with Logitech?
Been here for a little more than 6.5 years now.
6.5. So you know your way around a little bit.
Yes,
fine.
I do.
And we're going to talk about something that's interesting that's now available in beta for the Rally Board 65, which is the Cocoon mode.
The digital Cocoon,
So before we get into the digital Cocoon, let's talk about the Rally Board 65 for a second. 65-inch touchscreen, can flip over, camera can be on the top or the bottom. It does native Google Meet.
Native Google Meet, Zoom,
and
Zoom Teams.
And Teams.
Yes.
Okay, that's terrific.
Yeah.
And it's for meeting experience.
Yep. And
camera,
whiteboard.
Microphone, and a fully interactive whiteboard.
Yes. As customers start deploying this in the open office spaces.
That's the difference.
Right?
It's not a room anymore. Now
not
it's
in a room.
In a cafeteria, or one of four in a cafeteria, or in a big meeting space.
Yep. Or if they're having like an all hands or even a small focused meeting where a lot of customers end up having open office spaces for collaboration. And this device with the cart is designed for that kind of setup where if you had a hub and you wanted to continue that collaboration. With the digital Cocoon experience in that open office space, we are able to create, both using the video technology and the microphone audio technology, a cocoon for customers or our end users to be able to experience an isolated meeting experience, right? Isolated from all the noise. Like we are in the InfoComm show floor and there's a whole bunch of things. Actually, you know what? Let me
let's take a look
start
at
test, right? So I haven't set up any of the camera zones. This is
so
our
I can
booth.
Clearly see the Mercer booth back there. There's Logitech. There's your new cameras. Those are awesome cameras, by the way.
And then you can also see, I know the frame is focusing on us, but if we walk back, you can see all the packages that have yet to be cleared in the show floor, and there's no blurring.
Right.
There's no
just like the experience you'd get with anything else.
Exactly. So now, with the first aspect of digital Cocoon is, there's camera zone. This allows our AI technology that runs on the device to be able to frame only people that we want to be in the frame. So with camera zone, right, let's say we see Layla over there. So, let's include her in our shot. So I'll increase the depth and we'll go, what was the distance there? Yeah. So now Layla is in our screen, right? Everyone behind Layla are out of the zone. Like me, you, and Layla, we're all in the zone. So we'll turn it on, right? And now the device knows exactly whom to focus on. So others are treated as, not necessary for this meeting call. With depth blur, now I turn that on. We'll go back to our camera test. What you are going to see is the fact that we subtly start blurring out the background. So it gets harder to understand the logo way behind our booth. As we walk back, right, you can see the flowers are outside of the zone that we just defined, right? The passport is actually within the zone, just like Layla. Everything is in focus, right? So now we are not just doing people and depth blurring on the sides, we're actually taking care of depth. Your camera is in the zone, and it's able to focus on what is relevant and also blur out what is not relevant. So this is the video side of the technology. The next thing, and I will get out of the camera mode for this works in conjunction with our microphones. So if you go into mic zone, so this is a feature that's also available in public beta so everyone can test it. It is taking the same dimensions we set for the camera zone. So I am in the zone and we'll wait for the camera to come back on. You're also in the zone. What I will do is I'll actually gradually walk away, and I'm sure audiences are able to hear me because I have the lapel mic. And as I get out of the zone and I continue to talk, you will see that my audio over there is starting to get slowly, dropped out.
So it's being attenuated. It's not being.
It'll
shut
attenuate
down,
it.
but it's being brought down.
Exactly.
So it's not really part of the focus.
Yes. So if you're in the remote side of it, and I'm now back in the green box, the people who are on the remote end, they get a less distracted meeting experience. So that's where the digital cocoon comes in, where now you have this setup where you're able to get both audio and video working together.
And I'm standing here now with the team from Zoom, Jeff and Andy. Andy, tell everybody what you do at Zoom.
I lead our innovation platform at Zoom, so I oversee all the pro media and broadcast integrations, a lot of our developer tools and things that make high-end experiences happen.
And Jeff, what do you do?
Hi, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'll shake hands. I'll do friendly stuff all the time.
That's right.
I love that. Where's Eric? Is he hiding anywhere?
No. He'll pop out at some
Didn't
point.
make the trip again.
Not,
Okay, fine.
not this one.
Okay.
Jeff, I lead product for Workplace.
Okay. Now, how do you define workplace?
That's a
By standing on one
fantastic
foot.
question.
Just a
That's
quick
right.
answer.
That's right. So Workplace is the solution from Zoom for knowledge workers.
Okay.
So starts at the core with meetings. We've got phone, chat, calendar, mail, all of the collaboration tools.
It's a suite. It's a collaboration suite. Okay.
right.
So first of all, the announcement this morning, Zoom had a press release. Cisco had a press release. You had a press release as well. The Cisco Room devices, which last year were Zoom meeting compatible, are now fully Zoom Room native, if desired. That's the new feature that's going to be announced.
That's right.
So the offline experiences are now exactly the same.
That's right. So if you look back behind us, we have a couple of Cisco devices where we have full native Zoom rooms running. It's an expansion of the ecosystem, an important one. So Cisco's for many, many years been a leader in producing some of the highest quality conference room devices for enterprise. And we're just really happy to be able to take this step where we go from simply being a great meeting solution on Cisco devices to being a full native Zoom Room solution on Cisco devices, similar to our other partners that we have.
And that was one of the things we identified in our showcase, our pick hits, as one of the reasons that's a standout from the show, because it takes some courage to say, you know what, we don't care what endpoint you're going to buy, our partners, other people, we want to be that native compatible experience. And then users now can buy endpoints and then just decide who's got the best service going forward, or use more than one.
So the whole point for us is customer choice. So when customers value something, we want to be able to deliver it. And there are a lot of customers that have a lot of, see a lot of value in Cisco devices for good reason. And so we're happy to support that.
Okay, so I can't turn the camera right now, but I will shortly. Right over here next to your booth is the VizRT booth. Now, I've known VizRT. It goes back to the days of Lehman Brothers. What's VizRT doing with Zoom?
Well, you're totally right, David, that if you've watched live news, sports, weather, you've seen VizRT, and they are powering graphics and broadcast. And what we've done is we've heard from our enterprise customers that there's a convergence between what you think of in broadcast television and in their conference room environments. So we partnered with VizRT and our ISV exchange. We've introduced 2 new solutions together that are focused on bringing those types of graphics directly into the Zoom experience. So we have Captivate, which is the demo behind us, and that's a Zoom room with augmented reality graphics and immersive experiences built right in. So VizRT is taking all that knowledge that they have from all those years of doing graphics and really defining the category of software-defined production.
That's an in-room piece of hardware that you have to add.
Exactly.
Right?
You add it to your Zoom room and it adds all these graphical capabilities. But it does so without the traditional cost and complexity of a broadcast studio.
Right.
We're not talking about big green screens. We're not talking about complex lighting requirements. We're not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of graphics compute. It's actually a very streamlined solution. And then for those workers who are remote or who are connecting directly through a Zoom meeting, we have graphics for them as well that can run as an overlay. So between the conference room, people who are in the space, and then people who are joining remotely, we have full production capabilities through VizRT that are broadcast through our UC platform.
Now, I've been using that, and viewers to the UC Weekly News would recognize that last week I used solely those graphics. Andy, thank you. I
David.
appreciate it.
David,
Jeff, thank you.
appreciate
really
it.
do appreciate the features. We'll be right back. So we're now on our way over to speak to the team at Neat. Neat just recently got a new CEO, Javed, ex-Cisco gentleman, very, very smart man. We'll probably have a conversation with him for a little bit. And they've just started shipping their Board 32 and their new touch panel. And they've got a strategy about moving a lot of technology over to the edge, which they're going to start going forward with. So I want to have a conversation with them about all of that. Let's see what they have to say. I am with Javed Khan.
Hello, how are you?
CEO of Neat. I can't say new CEO because we interviewed you when it was like before a week it was announced. So,
That's right, yeah.
So you've been on the job now, what, 2 months, 3 months?
Almost 3 months now.
3 months.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Was it a good choice? You like
It
being
was
there?
a fantastic choice. I am I'm even more excited about the choice I made. So it's been a great time. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So that's the friendly conversation that's over.
Yeah.
No more friendly stuff. Okay, so you made some announcements at the show, so let's go over those first of all. This we're looking at right behind us right now is intelligent framing, which
Yes.
is the idea, if I've got it right, that of all the different ways we could have set rooms up, that's an interaction that was unnecessary. The room should be smart enough to know what's needed, and that's your way of doing that, correct?
Yes, I think the distributed intelligent architecture that Neat has is allowing us to build the next generation of layouts, right? So up until now, the industry has done a pretty good job of things like best fit or sending more than one stream. Increasingly, that's not scaling. So when you have 15 people in the room, you can't really send 15 streams. So we've come up using AI, a way to come up with better options to send to the far end. For example, you can send a bird's eye view, but pick the 4 or 5 most interesting people in the room. But AI allows you using cues to detect what the far end might be interested in looking at. So that's what we are starting to do. Our distributed architecture allows each of the cameras to make some of those decisions, and that's an early version of that we'll be shipping later this year.
Well, it's also the idea that you don't want people to have to walk into the room and know anything other than their subject matter. The room should be smart enough to do what the room needs to do, and we should just be talking about what we know. So no camera settings, no mic settings, no ceiling settings. The intelligence should be in the system.
Yeah, that's right. We found out that there is no static rule that you could set up front to focus on, a certain structure or a certain set of people. Some of the cues in the room, what people are saying, whom they are looking at, their reactions, actually should drive that decision in real time. And that's where AI today, running on the edge, allows you to make some of those decisions. So super excited about where we can take this. And that's really the value we add to the existing Zoom and the Microsoft Teams and the Google ecosystems that we support. We add this extra layer on top of what the platform can already provide.
And I'm apologizing because of all the noise in the crowds. People will hear each other because of the mics we're using, but you are getting people walking and crossing and running because this is a very busy booth. You've got a lot of people very interested coming in for tours, looking at the products. Neat is a very popular product.
It is. I'm super excited about, this is my first InfoComm as a Neat employee, and it's just amazing the number of people, and we've got some cool stuff to show off. So,
And honestly, I'm everybody knows me. I'm a blunt, honest guy. You guys are in the back end. I don't know who you angered to be in the actual deepest part of the hall, and you're still getting crowds here as if you were in the front lobby. It's amazing.
It's right next to the drop-off, so it's actually strategically
pretty
positioned.
good. Okay,
Yep.
and you get some
You don't have to
daylight.
walk all the way. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk strategically for a minute
Yeah.
about edge. You've talked about moving processing to the edge for a number of the statements you've made since you joined. I've written a couple of articles about the idea of what is the edge, and cloud is not going to be the answer to everything, it's edge. You've got some of that intelligence now, but you've mentioned that's kind of clearly the direction you're going in. Can you expound on that just a little bit? Like, what could we expect to see going forward?
Yeah. So there's 2 important reasons, actually, that beyond just doing things at the edge, right? So number one, latency. So there are certain use cases where you can't wait for the delay to get a response back. Transcripts you want after the meeting, could do that in the cloud, works. A real-time conversation, you want to do more at the edge, right? So that's one. Second is privacy and cost. So privacy, because some conversations, some decisions, you do want to have the option to not leave the room, right? So that's the second reason for doing that. Actually, the intelligent layouts that I talked about, another example of a real-time decision that has to be made on the edge, otherwise the experience doesn't quite work. And then there's a cost benefit to it too. You're running powerful compute in the rooms, you don't really want to be burning GPU cycles, paying for it, that's an expensive cost.
And the bandwidth for it as well.
And the bandwidth for it. I think nowadays it's the GPU that gets in the way, right? Yeah. So by offloading some of the inference to these devices, we believe we can also optimize the cost, the overall cost structure. So we want to work with our partners here to see if that's a possibility going forward.
So don't tell me anything NDA, I wouldn't ask that question, but what can we see going forward? What are the directions that you're going in with Neat? Is it more products? Is it more pieces? Is it more intelligence?
Yeah,
is it all of it?
So I think obviously we've got our portfolio, we'll continue to make that better. So you'll see newer hardware from us, right? Neat's a relatively young company. We continue to improve our portfolio, so better solutions for our large rooms.
Relatively young company that's doing gangbusters in terms of earnings for the numbers that we've seen. I know you don't reveal them publicly, but...
I know that's been one of my pleasant surprises coming in. Is how well the business is doing, and that's a great place to be because it allows us to invest. But expect that we will continue to add to our hardware and software portfolio. But in addition to that, what you can expect from us is additional experiences outside of the conference room, right? So the room gets used for so many other use cases, right? You're sitting in there having a conversation, brainstorming. How can we help with those conversations? You're seeing some of our partners do that, right? So Microsoft's making announcements today that extend beyond the immediate online meeting. So expect that Neat will play and will help enable those kinds of experiences. And then the rooms also have very powerful intelligent sensors that can help improve the workplace experience. So expect more around that. We are showing off an MCP server on the booth today, which is an example of what's possible with AI when agents actually get access to that data. So the ability to have a conversational interface about how your conference rooms are doing, what's available, what's the quality of the experience in these rooms, you can now expose that through your favorite agent. And that to me is a practical application of what AI can really do, which actually makes my lives better, right? Whether I'm an administrator or an end user. So.
Terrific. Chab, it's always a pleasure. Great to see you in person. Enjoy the interest you have in the booth and the excitement.
Thank you.
So Yannick and Gauthier, when we met a couple of years ago, we were talking about this as what your next generation product would be. And this has now been out for a while, and there have been some very interesting changes with it going forward, right? Certification, bundles. You want to give us a quick update as to what the latest news is on this?
Absolutely. We have been certifying the Clickshare Hub with a variety of products, being the HDC one, for example, but we're also very, very excited with our partnership and our certification with the Logitech Meetup 2.
That's the newest one.
Absolutely. And there's plenty of others coming, so stay tuned. This is going to start rolling off the press.
And I'm most excited about the way that we're talking about it right now, the way the industry is talking about it, which is this, the Clickshare Hub, both versions of it, are certified for Microsoft Teams, as you said, with those bundles. So if you have a Teams meeting, you go in and you use it. But if you don't have a Teams meeting, if you've got Zoom or something else, you just use the button, and all of a sudden now you're able to do it without making any major changes wirelessly. You don't have to start searching for wires or dongles. And I don't think there are too many other companies that are doing that. That's a pretty unique feature to you guys, right?
Yes, it is. And it's the core of what Clickshare wants to be. We always want to focus on the human behavior, on the people. What we see a lot of companies are standardizing on Microsoft Teams rooms, rightfully so, I would say. There's one thing that you cannot standardize on, and that's human behavior, and that's people. And you also cannot standardize on your customers, your suppliers, if they have Zoom, if they have Meetup, then you need to use those platforms as well. So that's why we are very excited to announce that feature launching this month.
You know, we've seen a lot of a discussion about sovereign connectivities, especially throughout Europe and in some parts of Asia, that don't want to be on these US-centric platforms, and they're going to be using their own. And for you guys, I suppose it's just a shrug. You don't care because it'll work exactly the same way. Standard Microsoft Teams in the room, but if somebody comes up with some new platform, you don't have to worry about interoperability. You just plug in the dongle and go.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And with this BYD workflows that we will enable with the software release coming this summer, is that you can still use all of these devices, all of these platforms from your own laptop, and basically use them to your fullest advantage with all the features that are there. Some things that either is not there with Direct Guest Join, or you would have to pay a huge price with integrations such as SpexIP to just be able to use these platforms next to your standardized MTR or Teams room system that you would deploy in your meeting room.
And another thing that isn't clear in most of the messaging around that is pretty clear in yours. This is a standardized, certified Microsoft Teams device. So for all of the Teams management, for all of the room management, for all of making sure that you're connected and you're operating and your uptime, you're standard on Teams, but you're not giving up the ability to do any of those other platforms, either the other three major ones or ones that may come along that we're not even aware of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I also am extremely excited to be here. I hope you're as excited as I am, not just because of the game of Frogger we play every morning to get across the road to the convention center with my friend there. We did it together this morning. I let him go first. But also because of where we are as an industry. I think you would agree with me that we're in a time of just tremendous change. And whenever there's so much change, we tend to get polarized. So if you listen to folks today, things are either a non-event or a complete end of civilization as we know it. We do a study called the Work Trend Index annually. And these are the latest results. Users using AI aren't fearful. They're not frustrated. They are spending more time on higher value work. They are producing work that they say they couldn't have done a year ago. And this last point I really resonate with. They are saying that AI eliminates the blank page start. It's not the end point, it's the starting point. You no longer open up a blank PowerPoint or Word document and think about what you want to do. You use your AI agent to gather information, bring it all to one place, but then you apply your subject matter expertise, your ingenuity to make better and better outcomes.
All right, so our next stop today is going to be the folks over at QSC. We just attended their Activate event where they had made some announcements about their new video collaboration bar, which is a Microsoft-based bar. It's a little bit different than most of the other companies go with. Let's find out the story about that, the story about NVM and everything else that they're doing. I'm here with Patrick Hein, who's the VP of Marketing with
Good to see you again.
I had a chance to go through the QSys theme park ride, and I really shouldn't say that. It's really just an amazing experience.
No, that is a love letter to us. I appreciate it.
The lights and the sounds and the smoke and all the rest of it, but honestly, it was a lot more focused on the technology this year, which I think was really nice. Cool. Tell me about, very briefly, like the wisdom of the world about standing on one leg, about what happened at the Activate. This just happened a couple of weeks ago.
So yeah, if you missed Activate, you missed us introducing our collaboration bar solution, which is a fast follow from our Room Suite modular solution, which very much kind of completes this spectrum of collaboration solutions from small rooms to the most high impact spaces and communal spaces. So we launched that. Along with that came a scheduling panel that was built on the MDEP program. And we also, we talked about how Reflect is this very much a binding agent for not just the collaboration bar, but for your entire enterprise that are using either the bar solutions, the modular solutions, high impact spaces. All of that is feeding into the cloud and giving insight and action to anybody that needs it.
Okay, so if you're a QSys user, if you're one of your customers, I don't need to explain any of this to them. Your customers are very loyal.
For sure.
So let's assume we're talking to the people that aren't QSys customers.
Perfect.
Okay. Reflect is the control program that lets you set up and adjust all of these various modular pieces so that they work together as one, right?
Slide augment. Reflect is actually our complete cloud monitoring and management solution that happens to deliver the configuration setup for the bar and for modular. So for those that don't know QSys, historically what you would have to do was build a system from scratch. QSys is very much this open portfolio, this open canvas to, if you can dream it, you can build it. But that's not always necessary for these smaller scalable rooms. And so to answer your question, there is no programming on the bar or the modular system. You use Reflect in the cloud to do all the configuration, push mass presets, and then collect all of the data alongside everything else in the QSys ecosystem.
Now I've seen some people comment about the bar. It's let's use the best word is unique. It's a unique choice to take that type of bar form factor nowadays, which is very common, but do it in a Windows bar as opposed to in an Android bar. And first of all, what's your response to that, and what do you think the reasons for that were?
I mean, I think that the market is, has a lot of bars that are non-Windows based. They're, part of the MDET program, and those bars are great. There are a lot of good bars out there, and we took over 2 years to develop our Windows bar. And what I'll say to that, the people that are confused, I'm like, why would you enter that space? They need to better understand what the value of a platform is, because again, like, you can put a bar in any room, and most bars are great. But if you want that insight beyond that room to serve the rest of the organization, then our bar is well positioned. And then in terms of like why Windows, Windows is clearly well aligned with Microsoft Teams. Our bar is Microsoft Teams certified, and if you care about that, that earlier delivery of all of those features from Microsoft, then our bar makes a whole lot of sense.
Okay, fair answer. Let's talk a minute about NVM.
Yeah.
NVM is a new platform for you for, am I correct, in mass distribution? Like
correct.
In a cost-effective quantity manner when you're doing a lot of things. It wouldn't be in a conference room.
Right, and in fact, the very astute comment, like, we have been in video for several years now, but focused primarily on collaboration, making sure that all of the specs, the bitrate, the USB bridging, all of that is well aligned with collaboration. But the devices were never intended for mass distribution, for entertainment, hospitality, mass signage, video by the truck, right? Up until now. So NVM is our answer to that solution. If you need massive amounts of video for entertainment, hospitality, signage, you get to do within the platform. And that's really like one of the key differentiators for us, is that, again, it makes a lot of sense if you're deploying lots and lots of video to put it alongside your audio and control. These are not systems that need to be connected together. It works in the platform. It just makes more sense to build it inside of a platform rather than beside it.
Good morning, Las Vegas. Wow, it is great to see all of you today. A lot of new faces and some familiar ones. I'm Espen. I am the VP and GM of Cisco's collaboration devices business, and I can't wait to show you how we are now going to power the modern workplace with connected intelligence. I can promise you multiple live demos. I can promise you prominent guests. So let's get started. What I truly love about my job is that I get to connect people in buildings with purpose. I have been in this industry for a long time. Not all the way back to 1993, where our team released this device, but I've seen quite a few changes. I've seen the age of telepresence, the shift to unified communications, the move to cloud, hybrid work, and the last 10 years journey from basic machine learning to way more capable AI. And now, for sure, we are at a pivotal moment for everyone in this room. We're moving from the era of chatbots that intelligently answered our questions to agents that are our digital co-workers that conduct tasks and jobs now fully autonomously. And right around the corner, we have the era of physical AI, where robots and sensors will be sprinkled all around us. This has massive infrastructure implications. We have entered the era of the agentic workforce, where we still need to enable our people to collaborate, whether they are together in the office or somewhere remote. But increasingly, people and teams will also be reliant on their digital workforce to get things done.
No problem. And in here, I have the meetings that are in my personal calendar for today. And when I click on the join meeting here, then basically my device hands off the meeting link to the U30, and it's the U30 that calls into that meeting. So my laptop is basically just a remote control. There's no heavy lifting going on my device. I can control volume, microphone, camera, all from my device, but the call is running directly on the jack.
I sold the LCMs. They were gonna make it like a.
Okay, so we're still at InfoComm 2026, and I'm here at the Insta360 booth in their little conference room with Chibayo.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that right? Close enough. We've been talking about pronunciation before we started recording, and this is the first time that Talking Points is initiating coverage of Insta360. Now, Insta360's got an interesting story, and correct me and fill this in if I get any of it wrong. Most of the UC companies that we cover take this from the unified communications side. And you guys didn't. You guys started with the action cameras,
exactly,
which are one of the most popular action cameras in the world. You know, I'm a judge. I attend CES all the time, and you can't walk around 5 feet without seeing the yellow bags everywhere that everybody's carrying. And you've decided to take the expertise in optics and cameras and start to move them into the collaboration space.
Yes.
So the first product you had out was the camera, which was remind me the name of the little camera?
Webcam Link series.
So it's Link series or Link 2 or Link 2 Pro.
Well, we had Link and then Link 2, Link 2 Pro. So there are 3 generations by.
So 3 generations of that camera, and that's an automatic EPTC camera that does tracking. And we'll shoot some video of it so we have a copy of it. And then there's a module that it fits on called the Wave, which now adds like 360 audio to that camera and bring it in. And then what we're looking at behind us is your conference video bar. And what's the name of that product?
It's Connect.
So it's the Insta360 Connect.
Yes.
Now that is an Android video bar, or is it a pass-through video bar?
It's the Android video bar.
Android, so it has the built-in Zoom application if I wanted to do Zoom calls.
So Zoom certification is done. So Zoom Rooms is on the way, and also we are working with Teams for the certification as well.
Okay, so for now it'll do Zoom compatible calls.
Yes.
But you're working for calling, but you're working on the Zoom Room certification, and you're in process with Teams.
Yes.
Now it's an interesting camera. I've not seen one like that before, where you're on a mechanical PTZ inside behind a piece of glass.
Yes.
That's kind of interesting. So you have an ePTZ wide shot camera, and then if you can actually look into the glass and see the camera moving. I don't think anybody else is doing that.
So I think our company is very good at delving into unfound or unmet consumer needs. So what we realized is that while everyone is sort of using 2 or 3 wide-angle camera and some stitch them together, there is not really any player in the field that focus on the visual quality, where you can focus, give a nice portrait of the, say, presenter or the very important person that's on the far end of the table. So that's where we added the PTZ camera. So by digital zooming in, you can have 6 times zoom in and have a very nice crystal clear picture or portrait of the person. And when looking into the details, you also see there is a unique feature called whiteboard mode, where we use the PTZ camera we trained AI to understand what a whiteboard looked like. And then the PTZ camera looks at it, it would enhance the writing, and it would make a virtual float of the writing layer. So that's all done and achieved by the unique PTZ camera. So there are a few unmet needs that we address with the PTZ camera.
And one of the other uniquenesses is that all of these products that we've been talking about can tie together and connect together.
Right.
You're sitting in a room right now that's got a couple of your webcams as external cameras, plus the center
1, 2, and then 3.
plus the wave on the table. So now they all become a modular bundle that you can add and subtract and take pieces away.
Yes.
And that becomes, it lets you cover a much wider space.
Yes. So from our research of the users, we realized that now people are really struggling with the trouble of deployment. So whenever you introduce a new product, there are hidden costs during the deployment and training sessions. What we really hope to do is, by modular, as you mentioned, settings, we allow the users to decide where to look at, and it's really simple to deploy. So for example, when we have the all-in-one video bar connect in a room, and you found somewhere to be missing, for example, a corner next to the TV, you really want to give a portrait of that area, then you add a link, a webcam. Just $100, $200 and you solve the problem. And just by a simple cable, it would work together with the Connect.
So we are back at InfoComm 2026. I'm here with my old friend, dear friend, Tim Root. How many companies between the two of us? 12, 15, 40?
It's been a lot of years. The gray
yes,
is our signature now.
I like the gray up here. Here, it's too much. I look like a gray beard, so I color that. It's my version of the curtains, drapes matching the carpet. But anyway, So you've got an owl on your shirt.
I have an owl on my shirt.
What is it? And you also have a great talking points microphone on you. It's really cool. He's wearing the black one. I got the white one. Tim, what's your title nowadays? Where are you working?
I'm Chief Technology Officer at Owl Labs. Run operations, engineering, and product management.
So Owl Labs, they're the ones that are making this little product over here, the Meeting Owl. Which one is this? The Meeting Owl 5?
This is the Meeting Owl 5 Pro that we just brought out a few months ago, doing extremely well. It's our first step into really focusing on the enterprise, traditional large enterprise IT organization product.
The first Owl came out. It came out as a B2C, a consumer product that you could buy online. The camera, instead of having the camera focus be straight ahead, the camera focus was around the ring on the top, and it became a very innovative, probably one of the top sellers for individuals to buy as a USB peripheral for doing conferencing. Gangbusters took over the B2C market, the number one product on Amazon. Everyone was pointing to it and saying, we've got to be like that. It was a very successful product, but it was a non-channel consumer product that had some really interesting features, the framing, the strip, the switching, but it kind of lived there. And then company management changed, some switch around, you became the CTO, and you've now taken this and you're kind of morphing the product into the next generation, right?
Yes. So, and I would say they were never necessarily all consumer, right? It was more of a SMB, and the go-to-market was using consumer channels,
Correct,
right? Rather than the traditional AV, the traditional AV. So we have 275,000 customer companies. The footprint is massive. To your point, the success has been phenomenal, right, for the company. So if you looked at Owl Labs in 2021 during COVID and you bought the products, we are now a very different company, not only technology-wise, right, the 4K cameras and the performance, but also how we've invested significantly in the infrastructure to manage at scale for really the larger enterprises, IT organizations, and making sure that our products are enterprise grade and working now much closer with the traditional AV VAR channel to bring products to market. We have a new family of products that start with the 5 Pro that is only set up for that enterprise and that VAR channel to sell through. And it's not that.
So you're not competing with the online sales?
We're not competing. So those products will not be online. They're not going to be sold through the e-tailer category, because we realize that there's there's the SMB that just want access to it, and then the more sophisticated products, and they're more sophisticated because the requirements for a large enterprise, large IT organizations at scale is, hard network connectivity, being able to have multiple devices in the room and just having it, deployable, and then being able to manage remotely, bulk deployments, software upgrades, all the functionality that allow some of these companies that have 50 offices around the world to be able to deploy. So, we've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years upping all the aspects of the product, the services, so that we're now.
That's the one I was going to ask you about. What's the
100%.
services story?
Yeah, so we just announced here at the show Owl 360 services. So we have a ton of analytics that we can pull off the devices to give the IT organizations, use models, talker percentages, in-call activity. So driving the IT organization's ability to diagnose what's going on in the room if there's a problem, but also understanding how are people using the products. And how many people are in the meetings in each room, which is always a capacity thing. Everybody needs that.
Is that the 5 as well?
This is the 5 Pro. Yes.
Pick it up, bring it
over.
over.
Yeah. So this is we just brought this out a couple
we've had
months
it
ago.
sitting here as the foreground.
We're using it in the background. You can see our video.
So we are in the Midwich studio. Thank you to Chris Netto and the wonderful folks at Midwich. Still here at InfoComm 2026. I'm with my good old industry friend, Dave. We're old industry friend.
I'm Dave Michaels, and we are Talking Points, the Daves.
You're the substitute Dave.
I am a substitute Dave. Not really Dave Michaels, Dave Naldo, but...
Yeah, and you've been with Let's Do Video since you left Telepresence Options. So
12 years ago.
Long time ago. So this is the final day of InfoComm 2026. It's Friday. Halls are a little lighter. People are starting to walk around. You start to see some of the vendors mingle out and see what their competitors are doing. Hiding themselves behind. Like my custom Talking Point shirt.
Yep.
Anyway. So I figured I'd wear something at least a little different, since I'm usually in the polos all the time.
I want one of those.
I'll give you the trick. You can get these individually now. So what are your impressions of the show? What I'll tell you mine, but what's your overall, if you had to close your eyes and tell people what was going on, what's your impression so far of InfoComm this year?
It's a winner. It's a good show again. After the pandemic was so long ago now, but it still has an effect. After the pandemic, some shows did not come back, and it was really sad. And InfoComm is back. And the question of is it bigger than it was before, or smaller, or how much back? We could talk about that, but the fact is, it's a great show. It's worth coming to as a vendor. It's worth coming to as a customer. It's worth coming to as an analyst, it's one of my best shows all year. I'm all in on InfoComm.
Yeah, I actually was very impressed with how the show was this year. I don't think there was any really big slam dunk story like XYZ was introduced or this company's got. There are a couple of little products that I'm excited about, and I'll talk to you about like 2 or 3 of the ones that I found that I find are interesting. Some that I was expecting and some that I wasn't expecting. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing. But
well, the world has changed a little bit. It used to be, and again, I can't believe I'm still talking about the pandemic, but we used to save all our big announcements for the show. And you and I would come to the show and be like, I saw something new and I saw 10 things that are new and amazing. And now vendors don't save their announcements for the show. They announce their new products when they're ready. And if the show is 4 months later, that's when we see it. So yes, I'm seeing things that I've heard about. There's no surprises, but it's still great to come here and see them. But don't come to InfoComm expecting to see the new products.
Okay, so let's talk about some overall things, and then we'll go down to a few products that we both saw that we either liked or didn't like. So overall, first of all, this has never been a big show for keynotes. You know, the keynote, they used to have a manufacturers panel, which Gary Kay used to do for a few years, and then if there was a keynote speaker, it would be an astronaut or a magician or something unrelated to anything the opening night or the night before the opening night. And with, I guess, I don't want to say demise, that's the wrong word, with the winding down of Enterprise Connect to a different venue and with Microsoft not really being interested in it, and especially with Ilya now being on the board of Avixa, they've added 2 Enterprise Connect style keynotes here. They had Microsoft do one on Wednesday, and they had Cisco do one on Thursday. Did you get a chance to see any of them?
I did see the Cisco one. I had a presentation myself that conflicted with Ilya's. I felt terrible about, but I heard that Ilya's was amazing, and I thought the Cisco was really good, and I'm just happy that they're doing it. I thought it was a big weakness of InfoComm that they don't. They have, Ilya's here. Espen's here. They're here. They have great presentations. They can wow a crowd, and there's things to talk about, and there's no keynotes. It really seemed like a big gap. And not only did they have them, they were well executed and they were great.
Well, I think that if they're going to start doing those, there's, and ISE is 4 days. InfoComm's only 3 days of an expo floor. I think they're going to have to start doing some of those keynotes the day before on Tuesday when some of the training's taking place, so that they can have a greater, richer program without taking time away from the floor time. I don't know about you, but I've been back to back for the entire conference, and people said, well, have you seen anything new on the floor? It's like, if they didn't have an appointment with me, I might have bumped into them on the way and had to apologize, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah, so, I didn't give myself enough walking around time. It's meeting, but that's okay.
Yeah. So that was one thing. I'm disappointed with how the education sessions went this year. There may have been some great sessions. I gave a presentation that I liked, but the problem is the show, primarily the expo floor, takes place between the central hall, and all the halls are open, by the way, and for this show it's the first time that all their halls are open since the construction. They were all open for CES and some other things, but for InfoComm this is the first time in Vegas that they're back after the construction. The expo takes place in the central hall and the north hall, but all the education is in the west hall, and it is a schlep to get over to the west hall. I had 10 people in my session. I heard from other people that they had a really great session. They had 40 people there. There should be hundreds of people in these sessions. It's so valuable.
One thing better, 2 years ago, they were using the West Hall and the Central Hall for the exhibits. So I would have a meeting, there were booths in the West Hall. So I would have a meeting in the Central Hall, and then I'd have to do the 20-minute, 25-minute walk over to the West Hall for my next meeting. I was late to every meeting. So at least this year, the exhibits are all in the North and Central Hall, which are right next to each other. I wasn't late to any of my meetings. But for some reason, they still use the West Hall for the sessions. So I had to walk 20 minutes, or you could take the loop, but by the time you do that, it's another 20 minutes. But you get to sit in a Tesla, so it's kind of cool, to get to the West Hall. And by the time I get to my session, I'm thinking no one's going to walk all the way. I was glad that some people did, but it really seemed like the sessions, it's going to affect session attendance if people have to leave not just leave the exhibit hall, but walk 20 minutes to get to it.
Yeah, I think interoperability is a growing story. There's a lot of controversies around that. The difference between a certified system on, say, Microsoft Teams or Zoom and a compatible system on, say, Microsoft Teams or Zoom. Something like the announcement that Jabra had with Airtame and what Airtame is doing, and Mago to a certain extent. I mean, I think that's something that's going to bubble up toward the end of this year.
But one thing I saw along those lines was Barco. And the problem is, and this drives me crazy, and it's the software guy's fault. It's not the hardware guy's fault. If you buy a Zoom bar, it runs Zoom. And if you buy a Microsoft Teams bar, it runs Microsoft Teams. And there are meeting rooms all over the world that have 2 or 3 video bars in one meeting room. People post pictures on LinkedIn. Hey, I just set up this room. We got our 3 video bars, one for Google, one for Teams, one for Zoom. That's not a world. That's not a good world. That's not right. That shouldn't be. I should have one video bar, and I should be able to call Zoom. I should be able to call Teams, whatever I want. And that's not reality. And the vendors, the hardware vendors, are getting really creative trying to make that less of a problem. And Barco had one approach. They have a Microsoft Teams room. It runs Microsoft Teams, but there's a BYOD mode where if you press that button, then you can connect your laptop and make a Zoom call on it without having to get a second bar or a whole new system. You can make a Zoom call in your Teams room. That's the kind of thing we need. And that's just one approach, but a lot of vendors are trying to solve this problem.
Incremental improvements on some of the products, slightly bigger boards, slightly faster processors, slightly better use of AI. A number of companies doing things with MCP servers so that you can get,
Yes. I find that
SDKs.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Neat, for example, has MCP now for their video bars. So if you're a Claude fan like I am, you could say, hey, Claude, get into my Neat bar and fix this and change that and set this up and configure it the way I want, instead of going into the bar and doing it yourself.
Where's the next place you're going to in the industry? What's your next big deal?
Well, I think I have a little break before traveling.
Nice summer off?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going anywhere in July or August, which is, I don't like to travel. It's worth it for something like this, but...
So then our next big industry conference we're going to be at together, which is the CDS-CIX show in Denver.
Yes.
You guys are going to put your chef's hats on
Yes,
again. And
me and Kevin, the AI chefs.
The AI chefs. So if you're around Denver the first week of September, check out David. And David, thanks a lot. I appreciate
could we talk about one more thing I just remembered?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Something I think you would like. Jeff Smith from Zoom gave a presentation.
Yes.
And we've been talking a lot about how, Zoom's direction. Zoom became Zoom because they're the best at video, and they gave all this love to all the video people. They gave us everything we wanted, and lately they've been talking AI, Zoom AI Companion, Zoom AI this, Zoom AI that, and it's like, have you forgotten about us video people? And Jeff's presentation was a half an hour of all these new developments in the video side, and he didn't mention AI once. It was the stuff we've been asking for to make the video experience, but simple things like, if you're in a meeting room, a title, so you know who's talking, as opposed to just if you're calling from home, you have your name there. But and simple things like that. But it's stuff that we've been asking for, and it shows that maybe they haven't lost sight of how they got here.
Or maybe they've been listening to the complaints,
or they've been listening
reading
to
some
us.
of my articles. Yeah, something like that. No, but I did have a meeting with them and with Andrew there, and I think it's good to see a renewed focus on things that are important to this space. So I agree with you on that.
Andy
completely.
Carluccio at Zoom is doing amazing things for Zoom Broadcast.
Oh, you see, Andy, you get a call out. Zoom, Jeff, you get a call out. All the other vendors that we saw, David's going to have tremendous coverage. I'm sure I'm going to have tremendous coverage over the next few weeks with our pick hits. We're looking forward to giving you more information that we got from the show. But for now, thanks, David. I appreciate it.
Thank you. This is great.
So that's it for UC Weekly News for this week. That was InfoComm 2026. I'm sure I'm going to be sharing a whole bunch more clips of that going forward. But for now, you can get the back of my shirt. This is me leaving InfoComm, going for the next conference. Have a great time. We'll see you on the next one. We'll see you next week. Take care.